In the West, the Platonic dictum of know thyself has been the basic maxim of intellectual development. But the problem is the self cannot know the self. It would require two selves, one to know the other, and there is only one. And so because we demand to know the self, we create another false self. But that one needs to know itself, and it creates yet another, and then yet another, and yet another. And so there grow to be this entire jungle of inner fragments of ego that match the outer ones that we hold on to as well. And so we're caught in a double web, an inner one and an outer one. This is the trap. And so you cannot know yourself intellectually in the sense that you can know mathematics, or you can know a painting or a person or something objective. You can only be the self. And you can only be when you let go of trying to know. And then you discover what the self really is. And the self in its pure form, when it's not holding on to and identifying itself by that which it holds on to, is emptiness. Empty awareness. The awareness is cognizant. There is an intelligence. But when that intelligence turns inward to know itself, there is nothing there. There is no thing. There is only awareness that is formless. And that awareness that is formless, because it is nothing special. That's what's horrifying to the ego, which strives day and night to be something special in the eyes of the other. But it's very special to give up that need to be special. And that's what brings one to the sacred core of one's being. And one discovers there another kind of specialness, a specialness to the Supreme Being, as a medium through which divine love can flow. And so the emptiness that is empty of concepts and empty of a sense of self-identity, self-image, desire, empty of all of the things that we fill our minds with all day long, turns out to be very full with love that comes from an even deeper place within. When we accept the emptiness without trying to run away from it or fill it artificially in a contrived way with words and images, and we agree to be natural. Uncontrived naturalness is a phrase that's actually used by a great Tibetan Buddhist teacher named Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche. But how can you contrive to be in a state of uncontrived naturalness? You can't do it. And so therefore, there are no techniques to get there. It can only happen through a surrendering of all desire and all fear. You can't even do it through accepting, because it's beyond acceptance or rejection. It's simple being. But this is our natural state, sahaja, the sahaja sthiti in Vedanta terminology, or sat mind, the mind that is simply that essence of awareness that is empty of all concepts and yet filled with the Absolute, is the Absolute. And although one cannot describe what the Absolute is, the great saints and poets have very lyrically expressed it in terms of bliss and joy and divine nectar flowing through one's being, and the thrill of Kundalini rising, and ultimate joy of living, and many, many other terms that are all very wonderful, and yet they don't even come close to what it is. But you only get to all of that wonderfulness by agreeing to be nothing at all, not special or otherwise, and just being that which cannot be known. And it's that emptiness of the effort to grasp and to become and to control that opens the spigot of the flow of the divine nectar. And a kind of joy, of bliss, if you let the spigot stay open long enough, flows from within in an uncanny way and fills one's being, and eventually is recognized as the essence of one's being. The mind will resist this bliss. The ego mind knows that this bliss acts as a kind of acid that will dissolve the ego completely, very quickly. And so the ego is terrified of the very blissful realization. And when the fear comes up, one must be the witness to the fear and not identify with it, and recognize that it is the fear of the false self, the fear of emptiness, the fear of being nothing, the fear of death, the fear of that ultimate letting go. And if one is willing to do that, to joyfully surrender to the Absolute, then the end of the journey of our existence is fulfilled. And the realization of our oneness with the source of all that is. And in that moment, all fears fall away, all anxieties, all depression, all psychological states fall away. And there's freedom.